Hello, and welcome to the Good News from the Corner podcast. I'm Jay, I'm your podcast host, and I'm also the rector at St. John's Episcopal Church in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm glad you found us. I'm glad you're here. Stay tuned for sermons, lectures, and more good news from the corner of Central and Greer.
You did not choose me, but I chose you. Let that sink in for a minute. You did not choose me, but I chose you. I could stop preaching right there, and that would be enough. In fact, it's really more than enough. I chose you. Being chosen in this way may feel a bit foreign to us at first. And when we stop and think about it, we recognize that it calls to our deepest desire of being loved and cherished and adored. Now, we could fall into thinking it's a measure of our popularity or maybe even our self-worth. Well, he picked me to be on their team because I am the fastest runner. Or she chose me because I know lots of people and my connections might help her get what she needs, and then I'll get to be on the inner circle. But being chosen by Jesus is a completely different kind of being chosen. We are chosen as beloved ones. A love bestowed on us that knows no bounds and has no expectations. The holy whisper, the sudden thought of God, the urge to say thank you for nothing in particular, that is Jesus choosing us. Jesus inviting us in to live a life with him. Jesus is yearning for us to be with him in life. Remember, you did not choose me, I chose you. We're called to a life of reciprocity here on this earth, to give and to receive love, forgiveness, and understanding, and to be generous in spirit and treasure, to give oneself for the sake of another, and as the gospel says, to lay one's life down for another. Well, what does that look like in today's world? Are you part of the ever-growing sandwich generation, taking care of elderly parents and trying to raise young children? Are you one who has financial resources to share with those who are not so fortunate? Maybe you choose to pay off a children's lunch bill at school or buy up medical debt. Or maybe you go to Lebanon to touch and rock the babies born to addicted mothers or knit caps and blankets for preemies. These are just a small sample of laying down one's life for another. Acts of love out of generosity with no expectation from the recipient whatsoever. And we do it because we have heard and we believe Jesus chose us. I chose you. You didn't choose me. Jesus has called, and you can't not answer that call. All of these acts of love as laid out for us by Jesus are things that we do because we remember that we are beloved and that we are called to share. I want to tell you a story, one that might illustrate our human experience of being chosen. In 1968, there was a family who had just moved to a new place. One of the little girls in the family was 7, 8 years old. And she had moved away from all her friends, all of the familiar surroundings. She was the middle child, as her younger sister had been born 7 years after she had been born. So there was a lot of change in this little girl's life. And our family moved in the middle of winter into 6 feet of snow. Not really 6 feet, but it felt like 6 feet. So she and her older sister went to school mid-year, their new school mid-year. This little girl was on the playground, and another little girl came up to her and blurted out, "Want to be my friend?" No introduction, no chance to say no. It was just settled. They were going to be friends. And from that day forward, these two little girls were inseparable. They were both a bit mischievous and played off of each other, always off on their bikes on a new adventure. And there were many sleepovers to be had at each other's houses. And they remained friends for over 50 years, sharing all the things that young married people share. And they had a deep, deep connection to one another. That one invitation, those 4 words, "Want to be my friend?" was the moment the little girl felt seen, wanted, and beloved. Annie chose her. Of all the girls in the class, Annie chose her. Jesus spent his whole life choosing people. The disciples, James and John, Simon and Andrew, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of people." Jesus didn't know them. He just happened to be walking along the road aside the sea and came upon these lowly fishermen. He chose them. They didn't choose him. Jesus chose Judas Iscariot to be one of his apostles. He said to Levi, the son of Alphaeus, a tax collector, "Follow me." And to Matthew, another tax collector, "Follow me and be my disciple." And remember, tax collectors in those days were persona non grata. No one in their communities liked them or trusted them. But Jesus saw into their hearts and chose them. Jesus brought them into a relationship of reciprocal love, creating a community of friends willing to sacrifice themselves for one another, just as he brings us into love and community. I chose you. You did not choose me. There is something so profound about the message of this verse. We receive something we did not create, we didn't go searching for it, and we didn't earn it on our own. We didn't have to do anything to be chosen. It sort of resembles that warm feeling of being asked to be someone's spouse or best friend or beloved, the one who has been chosen above all others. So remember this all the days of your life. Jesus says to you, I chose you. You did not choose me. Our joy and our power comes from knowing that we have been chosen as beloved. We have been called beloved, and we are sent as beloved.
Thanks for tuning in today. You've been listening to the Good News from the Corner podcast. St. John's Episcopal Church is located at the corner of Central and Greer in Memphis, Tennessee. Our parish website is www.stjohnsmemphis.org. You can also catch us on all of the normal social media platforms. You can join us for church at 10:30 on Sunday morning on our St. John's Memphis YouTube channel. Share the Good News podcast with somebody. And remember, you matter to God. Your life is not yours alone. Come see us sometime.